The Germans of World War II built weapons and machines so far ahead of their time that the world had no choice but to ban them. These weren't just tools of war, they were decades ahead of modern science, and some may still be in use today. Join us and let's discover the scariest weapons of the Second World War.
Number 12. Longssirre Coastal Battery. Fortress Europe wasn't just a propaganda slogan. It was built in concrete and steel. The Longssirre battery, positioned on the cliffs of Normandy, represented the pinnacle of Nazi coastal defense engineering. 4 massive 6-inch naval guns, each capable of hurling shells nearly 12 miles, were housed in reinforced concrete bunkers designed to withstand direct naval bombardment. Connected by underground tunnels to sophisticated fire control centers equipped with rangefinders and communication systems, this fortress could coordinate devastating attacks on Allied invasion fleets. When D-Day arrived on June 6, 1944, Longssirre opened fire on British warships with deadly accuracy, forcing the Royal Navy to respond with everything they had. Even under intense bombardment from multiple battleships and cruisers, parts of the battery continued firing for hours. British troops from Gold Beach eventually overran the position, but not before the fortress proved how effective German defensive engineering could be. Today, those scarred concrete bunkers still stand as monuments to a defensive system that nearly worked. The battery's sophisticated targeting systems and reinforced construction influenced coastal defense designs for decades.
Number 11. Missile Composite Aircraft. German engineers solved the problem of creating a guided missile without sacrificing the pilot through sheer audacity. The Missile was one of the strangest weapon systems ever deployed. A fighter aircraft mounted on top of an unmanned bomber packed with explosives. The pilot would fly both aircraft as a single unit, guide them toward the target, then release the explosive-laden bomber like a massive guided missile before fly the fighter to safety. The lower aircraft carried a specially designed, shaped charge capable of penetrating several feet of reinforced concrete, making it perfect for attacking heavily fortified targets like bridges, bunkers, or naval vessels. Testing proved the concept worked, with pilots successfully delivering these flying bombs with remarkable precision. However, coordination was extremely complex, fuel loads were massive, and the combined aircraft was slow and vulnerable during approach. The unusual setup also made takeoffs dangerous and required specially trained pilots. By the time missile units were ready for combat operations, Allied forces were already deep inside German territory, limiting their effectiveness. Still, the concept represented innovative thinking about guided weapons delivery. Had these composite aircraft been mass-produced earlier in the war, they might have significantly impacted critical infrastructure targets across Europe.
I have a question for you. First, I would like to say that it is possible to follow the greatest curiosities of our world every day. But to do so, you need to be subscribed to our channel. So, are you already subscribed? If not, take the opportunity to subscribe now. Also, take the opportunity to like the video, so YouTube will recommend more videos from our channel. So leave your like right now. And now that you have done that, let's go!
Number 10. Fritz X Guided Bomb. Precision bombing in 1943 meant dropping tons of explosives and hoping something hit the target. Then came the Fritz X, and everything changed overnight. This wasn't your typical dumb bomb. It was the world's first operational guided munition, weighing a brutal 3,450 pounds and controlled remotely by radio signals. German bombardiers could literally steer this monster through the air using a joystick, watching through a periscope as it descended toward enemy ships. The Fritz X packed enough armor-piercing power to punch through 28 inches of steel plating, turning battleships into sitting ducks. In September 1943, it achieved the impossible by sinking the Italian battleship Roma with a single direct hit, proving that guided weapons could change naval warfare forever. Allied forces had zero defense against something this precise and deadly. The bomb's sophisticated tail fins and radio control system laid the groundwork for every smart weapon that followed, from laser-guided missiles to GPS-directed munitions. This technological leap forward was so advanced that it took the Allies years to develop countermeasures.
Number 9. Messerschmitt Me-163 Comet rocket fighter. Speed kills, and nothing proved that better than the Me-163 Comet. This rocket-powered interceptor could hit nearly 700 miles per hour, making Allied fighters look like they were standing still in comparison. Powered by a volatile rocket engine that burned through fuel in minutes, the Comet could climb vertically like a missile and attack bomber formations before anyone knew what hit them. Armed with two 30mm autocannons, it was designed to slash through Allied formations in high-speed attack runs. The problem? Everything about this aircraft was deadly, even to its own pilots. The rocket fuel was so unstable that ground crews died just trying to refuel it. Many pilots never made it off the ground alive. Once the short rocket burn ended, the Comet became a defenseless glider, vulnerable to enemy fighters during its descent. Despite these fatal flaws, over 300 Comets were built because German commanders believed this technology could rewrite the rules of air combat. The Me-163 didn't just break speed records, it terrified everyone who encountered it, proving that sometimes being too advanced can be just as dangerous as being behind.
Number 8. Silver Bogle suborbital bomber. Hitler's engineers didn't just think outside the box, they thought outside the atmosphere. The Silver Bogle, or Silver Bird, was a suborbital spaceplane designed to skip across the edge of Earth's atmosphere like a stone across water, carrying a bomb from Europe to New York City. This wasn't science fiction, the physics actually worked. The plan called for a rocket-powered sled to launch the Silver Bogle into near space, where it would reach hypersonic speeds and coast along the atmosphere in massive skips, making it nearly impossible to track or intercept. After dropping its payload on Manhattan, the spaceplane would glide to safety in Japanese-controlled territory. The design incorporated the same principles NASA would later use for the space shuttle, proving that German aerospace engineers were decades ahead of their time. While the Silver Bogle never made it past the blueprint stage due to wartime resource shortages and technical challenges, the idea that Nazi Germany could strike American cities from space represented a technological leap that wouldn't be matched until the Cold War. This phantom bomber from space remains one of the most advanced weapons concepts ever developed.
Number 7. Enigma encryption machine. Think about this for a second. The Nazis built a machine that could create over 150 quintillion different codes. That's 150 followed by 18 zeros. The Enigma machine wasn't just some fancy typewriter. It was the backbone of Nazi Germany's entire communication network. Every submarine patrol, every troop movement, every battle plan went through this electromechanical beast that scrambled messages into what seemed like gibberish. The machine used rotating rotors and a plugboard system that changed the code every single day. Even if you captured an Enigma machine, you'd still need the daily settings to crack even one message. German commanders were so confident in this technology that they sent their most sensitive secrets through radio waves, believing no one could possibly break their unbreakable code. Here's the crazy part. Allied code breakers at Bletchley Park actually did crack it, using early computers and pure mathematical genius. Once they broke Enigma, the Allies could read Nazi messages in real time. Submarine positions, attack plans, troop deployments, everything was suddenly an open book. Historians believe breaking Enigma shortened the war by 2 years and saved millions of lives.
Number 6. America bomber. While most people think Nazi Germany focused only on Europe, Hitler had much bigger plans, bombing New York City from across the Atlantic Ocean. The America Bomber Project aimed to develop a long-range strategic bomber capable of flying 3,600 miles non-stop from German airfields to the American East Coast, delivering its deadly payload and returning home. The Messerschmitt ME262 emerged as the leading candidate, designed to reach speeds of 310 miles per hour while carrying over 6,600 pounds of bombs. This wasn't just about military targets. The plan was psychological warfare on American soil, designed to shatter civilian morale and bring the war directly to American cities. Several prototypes were built and tested, with some achieving impressive range capabilities during flight trials. However, mechanical issues, fuel inefficiency, and the aircraft's vulnerability to fighter attacks plagued the program. As Allied air superiority grew and German resources became stretched thin, the America bomber dream quietly died. Yet the mere fact that Nazi engineers seriously planned to strike American cities from European bases shows how far their technological ambitions reached. Had even one of these bombers successfully attacked New York, the psychological impact on American civilians could have been devastating.
Number 5. Jet-powered ME262. Everything changed when German jets screamed across European skies at speeds that made Allied fighters look like they were parked. The Messerschmitt ME262 wasn't just faster than anything else in the air. It was nearly 100 miles per hour faster, hitting speeds over 540 miles per hour, while Allied aircraft struggled to break 450. Twin jet engines gave this beast acceleration that defied everything pilots knew about aerial combat. When ME262s dove on Allied bomber formations, there was no escaping, no maneuvering, no fighting back, just pure terror as these technological monsters tore through aircraft with 4 devastating 30mm cannons. Allied pilots described encounters with ME262s as fighting ghosts that appeared from nowhere, struck with deadly precision, then vanished before anyone could react. The aircraft could climb faster, dive deeper, and outrun anything the Allies had. In capable hands, a single ME262 could devastate entire bomber formations, shooting down multiple aircraft in a single attack run. The tragedy? This revolutionary fighter arrived too late to change anything. Production was slow, resources were stretched thin, and Hitler's obsession with using jets as bombers instead of interceptors delayed their proper deployment. By the time ME262s reached combat units in meaningful numbers, Allied forces were already closing in on Germany from all directions. Had this technology appeared 2 years earlier, the air war over Europe might have taken a completely different turn.
Number 4. V2 Ballistic Missile. Nothing in human history had ever moved so fast or struck with such devastating surprise. The V2 rocket wasn't just another weapon, it was humanity's first step into the space age, delivered as a tool of terror. Reaching speeds over 3,500 miles per hour and climbing to the edge of space before plummeting down on targets like London, the V2 gave no warning and offered no defense. By the time you heard its thunderous roar, it was already too late. The missile had already hit. This liquid-fueled monster represented a technological leap that left Allied scientists scrambling to understand how Germany had achieved such advanced propulsion systems. Vertical launch capabilities, gyroscopic guidance, and suborbital flight paths put the V2 decades ahead of anything in the Allied arsenal. The man behind this revolution was Wernher von Braun, whose post-war journey to NASA would eventually put humans on the moon using similar rocket technology. Over 3,000 V2s were launched during the war, each one carrying a ton of explosives and a message that warfare had forever changed. The psychological impact was as devastating as the physical destruction, proving that future conflicts would be fought with weapons that could strike anywhere, anytime, without warning.
Number 3. Goliath Tracked Mine. Picture a tiny tank packed with explosives, controlled by a soldier sitting safely in a bunker hundreds of yards away. That's exactly what the Goliath tracked mine delivered to World War II battlefields. This remote-controlled death machine carried between 132 and 220 pounds of high explosives, guided by a joystick connected through a control cable. German engineers built over 7,700 of these mechanical suicide bombers, each designed to roll straight into enemy positions and detonate on command. The Goliath was small enough to navigate through rubble and trenches, quiet enough to approach undetected, and deadly enough to destroy tanks, bunkers, or entire infantry squads with a single explosion. While it moved slowly and the control cable could be cut by enemy fire, the concept was revolutionary. This little robot represented the birth of remote warfare, proving that soldiers could deliver devastating attacks without risking their own lives. Modern military engineers still study the Goliath when developing unmanned ground vehicles and robotic combat systems.
Number 2. The Horton H229 Flying Wing. Back in 1944, while most aircraft looked like traditional planes, the Horton brothers were building something straight out of science fiction. The H229 wasn't just another warbird. It was the world's first stealth bomber prototype. This radical flying wing design combined jet propulsion with radar-absorbing materials decades before anyone else thought it was possible. Twin turbojet engines pushed this beast past 600 miles per hour at altitudes reaching 49,000 feet. The most terrifying part? It was nearly invisible to radar systems of that era. The Horton brothers used wood and carbon-based adhesives instead of metal, creating a radar signature so small that Allied detection systems couldn't track it effectively. When American forces captured the prototype, they realized they weren't looking at just another German aircraft, they were staring at the blueprint for modern stealth technology. Northrop Grumman later built exact replicas to study its revolutionary design. The Horton H229's DNA lives on in today's B-2 Spirit bomber, proving that Nazi engineers were decades ahead of their time.
Number 1. Zielgerät 1229 Vampir. German soldiers were seeing in the dark before night vision became standard military equipment. The Vampir system, yes, they actually called it Vampire, was one of the world's first operational infrared night vision devices, mounted on rifles like the revolutionary STG-44 assault rifle. This wasn't some lightweight gadget you could slip into your pocket. The complete system weighed nearly 30 pounds and included a battery backpack plus an infrared spotlight that illuminated targets invisible to human eyes but crystal clear through the scope. Picture this: German snipers picking off Allied troops in complete darkness while their enemies stumbled around blind. The technology also made its way onto Panther tanks through the FG-1250 system, complete with massive infrared searchlights that could spot enemy vehicles in pitch-black conditions. Tank crews could hunt at night, turning darkness from a shield into a weapon. The equipment was clunky, heavy, and made soldiers easy targets during daylight hours. Battery life was limited, and the infrared spotlight could give away positions to anyone else with similar equipment. But here's the thing, it actually worked. The concept proved that battlefields didn't have to sleep when the sun went down, laying the foundation for modern night combat tactics used by every military force today.
Now I have a special recommendation for you. Are you seeing this video that is appearing on the screen? Click on it because I'm sure you'll like it. Well, that's it, and until next time, Curious One.